Chief, do you want to give it another minute or two, or do you want me to just start?
Yeah, let's give it a minute and then I'll start us off and then you can take it from there, Michelle.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right. I'd say we kick it off. It's 1832 on Wednesday night. Welcome, everyone. It looks like we have about 51 participants this evening, which is great. We did want to do it in the evening so that we could capture some of the volunteer and combination departments that had requested. We do plan to record this webinar, and I believe it is recording. That way we can make it available to everybody else. But my name is Sean Essler. I'm the state fire marshal. Tonight I'm just this side of feeding cattle, so I'm not in uniform, but happy to be here, and I appreciate all the fire departments that have jumped on. So we have been working diligently in the fire marshal's office to oversee this NERIS transition, and Michelle has done a wonderful job. She shares with me every day all of the spreadsheets and the changes that she has made to get us a functional form and keep us on track. And I just want to reiterate that we're playing catch up. We have the U.S. Fire Administration that released NERAs this spring. We have MEFRS or Image Trend that is trying to keep up with the releases from NERAs. And then you have the State Fire Marshal's Office who oversees the records management system that's trying to assist departments across the state. So tonight, Michelle's going to give us an overview of where we're at, give us an overview of where we're heading, and we are right up against the first. We while it won't be perfect, it's going to be as close to ready as we can be. And we do plan to flip the switch on January 1st. Again, Michelle can go over that timeline a little more. Uh, but as we go along, I just want to let the fire departments know that if there is, we can't do individual customization of forms for each fire department. But if there's something in the form that as we get into January, February, that needs to be changed, or the functionality needs to be a little different, or something needs a main flavor, we will entertain all of those suggestions and make changes as necessary to support our fire departments across the state. We'll likely bring the ideas to the fire marshal committee. Uh, we'll have them dissect what ideas should be implemented statewide and what ideas should not be. So with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. And Michelle, great job. And we hope to answer some questions this evening.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Michelle Mason Weber. I'm the Senior Planning and Research Analyst. Back after a short break away from the office. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, for the first part of this meeting, kind of the information, the timelines that are going on, and bits of pieces of information that I think everybody needs to know. And then I'll dive into the NERIS fire run form and just kind of run through it. But I'd like to get the information that I have to you at the beginning, and that may answer some of your questions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and share my screen so I can get into MEFRS. I need to request sharing for this meeting, Chief.
You should have it.
Okay, let's see.
And Michelle, I will monitor the chat for you as well.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so if everybody can see, I should be in MEFRS if people can see that. Okay, I'm assuming that we can all see me first. And I'm going to start by saying that if you haven't onboarded your department yet to NERIS, the new database, you can still enter NERIS reports into MEFRS. I'm going to show you. This is the new form, the NERIS form we're going to cover tonight. You can still enter NERIS reports into MEFRS. The data will simply sit in the system until you have done the onboarding process and connected MEFRS to your department's NERIS account using the integration enrollment instructions that I emailed to people in October. And if you need another copy, email me. Once both of those items are done, your NERIS report data will then flow from MEFRS to the NERIS database. So I just wanted to let people know because we still have a little over 200 departments who haven't onboarded yet with NERIS. This NERIS fire form is getting turned on tomorrow, so you can practice and train your crews with it. All NERIS reports dated from December 18th to December 31st will be deleted by image trend from the system because we're going to assume that those are all practice ones. Because you need to use the old form until January 1st. So tomorrow you will see two forms available. The NERIS form you can play with, but keep entering your incidents until January 1st with the old form, the NFIRS form. The old form, this one here that you're using now, will be available until January 7th. So people can get their backlog of 2025 reports entered into the state MEFRS system. So we're giving you a little bit of leeway after this live NERIS form cuts in on January 1st. Everybody should be reporting 2026 incidents with this new form, but you have a little bit of time with the old form if you need to backfill your data. And a reminder, you need to get your NFIRS 2025 reports to Richard Taylor by mid-January if you use another RMS system, or get them entered into MEFRS by January 6th. Richard Taylor says we're at about 165,000 reports for 2025, and we should have over 190,000 based on last year's statistics. The ability to associate from EMS to fire is in place for those who do EMS reports. Another update, I will not be doing QA/QC on fire reports from now on. Departments need to make sure report scores are 100 and no red validation showing when they complete reports in MEFRS. Reports will be sent automatically to NERIS via the API setup you did as part of onboarding. And I'm going to warn people there will be future changes to this fire reporting form, this new form we're going to cover today, as time goes on because issues are found and tools are created by image trend for me to add in, such as the apparatus power tool, which I will mention in a minute. And one more item, NERIS National Database currently doesn't have the means to set up Canadian fire departments for mutual aid. I sent them a ticket months ago, and they are discussing if they can issue NERIS ID numbers for Canadian departments. So I wanted to let you fire departments on the state border with Canada, that's the situation right now. So are there any questions before we dive into the form? Hearing none, I'm going to open up the NERIS form. And I'll walk people through this, kind of like what I used to do when MEFRS first came on board, if any of you attended my trainings. This is going to look slightly different because the NERIS folks decided to set things up differently. Right off the bat, we have a dispatch section. If you have CAD set up for your department, much of this information will be filled in by CAD. If you don't have CAD, fill in the red required fields. So for dispatch detail, you will see that dispatch incident number is a required field. I'm in our demo agency, so I'm just going to say that, let's say our dispatch incident number for this was 12. And I'm working off my laptop, so you're gonna see me scroll down just to make sure that there's no other red fields that I need to do in this. Having filled that in, I go to timestamp. You'll notice the dispatch details now, the red goes away because I entered the one red required field in that one. In this one, timestamps for the first 3 are needed, and none of the others are needed, or required, I should say. So bear with me, I'm just gonna fill in these fields. And we go to location. Now, dispatch location, there are no required fields in this. CAD may fill in a bunch of this. You're welcome to fill in stuff if you want to, but there's no required fields in this one. And then we're going to go to unit response. This is where you're going to document your apparatus and personnel for a while, because the apparatus power tool, let me look at my notes here. Apparatus power tool is not going to be available, I'm told, until February. So I'm going to have to make some changes when the apparatus power tool is available. We all know that the apparatus power tool in the NFIRS run report lives down in the lower right-hand corner. I'm assuming it's going to go there when it's released. But for now, we'll have to use this unit response for dispatch. And basically there's 2 sections. I'm going to pick engine 1 that I set up in my demo. That's the engine 1 call sign, and then apparatus ID. You see the handy little button over here, and you click on that, and your items pop up that you have created for your apparatus in another section of MEFRS, and I'm going to pick engine 1 for that too. Dispatch unit response point. This is for latitude, longitude. If you're out in the middle of the woods and dealing with a brush fire or something, most of the time you're not going to have to deal with that. And as I said, a lot of this is dispatch stuff. So I've cleared the required fields at the top here, and I hit OK. Now you will see your information pop up here, and we can go on down to the actual incident.
Michelle, before you jump into the incident, we do have one question. If we complete a report still with red or not 100%, what is the end result? Occasionally, we don't get a run number when completing a mutual aid call.
I believe what's going to happen is the information will go to NERIS automatically, but you can go back into the report and fill in the information, and then it will hit 100, and then it will go to NERIS, because I don't believe we have any specific criteria set up at this point to halt reports from leaving MEFRS.
I think to add a clarifying point to that, the state fire marshal's office in the past has always had to confirm the validation, get it to 100%, make any changes with department's data, and then send it to NFIRS. The only way NFIRS would accept it is if the validation was at 100%. Right now, or excuse me, after January 1st, our goal as fire departments will be to get that to 100%, because you'll no longer be sending your reports to the fire marshal's office for review and then to NERIS. They're going to go directly to NERIS. So we're encouraging folks to get it to 100% so that when it hits NERIS or the United States reporting system, that the information is accurate. I hope that helped.
Okay. So in the incident section, I have set up some preset values. What I'll do is I'm going to ignore these for now, and I'm going to do it the manual way where most people are entering reports. But I'll show you, I've built in some values for each one of these buttons that pre-fills in some fields, which makes things a little bit faster for some of these common calls. So this is where the preset values live, is right at the top. but we're going to ignore those for now. We're just going to go down to incident details. This will look familiar to all of you who are doing the NFIRS reports now. Incident date, I'm going to pick today's date. Incident number, I want to say the dispatch one was 12, so I'm going to put incident number 12. This one is not required. It's incident, disaster, or safety issues, and you can look and see what the feds have collected for codes by clicking off to the side. And these are just additional bits of information that may have happened in the incident if you want to record that. But the next required field is and this is different
Michelle.
from the old NFIRS.
Michelle,
Yep.
the screen appears to be frozen. Could you just not share and then share again?
Okay, I will try that. I don't know if my connection is bad or not, but thank you for alerting me. How's that?
What we're getting right now is just a blank screen that says Michelle has started sharing.
Okay, let's try this again. Share.
Yeah, it's still not coming through.
Well, this is concerning. Let me get out of some of my other, like my mail and Teams, and see if that frees up something.
Yep, I'll jump in on my end and yeah, it's still showing a blank screen. Are you in the demo agency? I'll jump into my screen real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. Okay. Can everybody see my screen now, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to jump back into what you were doing. Just walk us through this one more time.
Okay.
Location. All right, so let's stop right here, I think is where you lost us.
Okay. So there's nothing that's required for location and dispatch. So if you go to unit response, you'll have to go into there and fill in those two red fields, your call sign and your apparatus ID.
Yep.
Okay, I believe everything else is all set. So incident, and then go to incident details. What if we don't enter CAD dispatch info? Errors. Yes, there will be errors. So you need to fill in those red required fields in the dispatch section just by filling them in manually as you go down through if you don't have CAD. Incident details. Okay, so incident date is required. And then incident number. Now, this is where it is different than the old NFIRS system. The old NFIRS system only allowed you to have one incident type to describe the whole scene of what happened. In this new NERIS database, you have a primary incident type, which is the red required field.
Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong tab there. So, um, okay.
And those are the different categories. And you'll notice that they don't have numbers. Like the old NFIRS system had 321 for an EMS call. Now you have medical. And if you choose medical, it drills down further to illness or injury, trauma, or other. And what I'll do tomorrow, I will send out the cheat sheet forms with the incident type codes all collected together. So you get a look at it on paper versus what's in here, but it's all word based. There's no number codes anymore. And you can have a primary incident type. Well, you have to have a primary incident type, but you can have up to 2 more additional incident types you see listed underneath that required field. So that way, let's say the primary incident type was a house fire, and then it caught a truck on fire, and then there was a propane tank explosion as a side incident of the house fire. You could record all 3 of those incidents in this area. So it gives a more complex view of what is going on. And your stations, you can mark your station underneath as to which one, responded, alarms. This demo has just some basic stuff.
And I'm sure the departments already know, but this is all customizable at the agency level.
Yeah.
This shift and platoon and alarm assignments.
And down here, I may actually, the number of non-firefighter casualties, this is where you put civilian and firefighter casualty or injuries. And if there's a 1 in either of those, off to the left-hand side, you would see the casualty rescue section light up red, which means you need to provide more data on, what happened. So it's like the old NFIRS form. You start at the top and you start working your way through, and things appear as needed. So the timestamp would be the next section on the incident. And again, those are just the required fields, but you can feel free to add more times if you want to keep track of them. And then location section, what I did was I put these yellow flags in for certain parts of the address, because conceivably we could have wildland fires that don't have a street address. So I flagged them in yellow. So like street number would be like 44 in the street number, and then street name is green, street type is street, like what you did with the NERIS form, NFIRS form. And down at the bottom is the postal code. And for example, I've typed in 04330, and it gives you can look under set from postal code, and you can choose if there's multiple towns that have the same postal code, which one you want. So that's that section. Location use. The site that happened, what was the use of it? And again, the little button off to the right gives you all of your different choices, or you can start typing in. Where do GPS locations go if no street address? I believe that is back on the other page. The location has a latitude, longitude. And so when your report, this NERIS report, goes to the NERIS database, the NERIS database has like a GPS aspect to it, and it will put a point right there where your GPS coordinates you listed in this report. A marker will go on your department's map as to where this incident happened. I hope that answers that question. Oh, awesome. So yes, Chief, location use. We did the location use. What was it being used for? And then, or is it in use? Yes. And then that's all that's required, but feel free to click a button or fill in that stuff if you want. Let me see what was.
In my scenario, we got an agricultural feedlot being used as a nightclub. We'll go with it.
Sean, that's a good question. Will all of our existing favorite community zip codes remain in the new system, or will we have to enter them again? I have a meeting tomorrow with my image trend rep, and I'll ask him. Ask Bobby about favorite.
And if I remember correctly, Chief Mitchell, it's at the agency level we can identify zip codes. We just need to ask the question if it transfers to NERIS or whether there's an extra step that we need to do.
Yes, and someone said, I'm gathering that existing numeric references are gone. They will be gone on January 1st. Because we will be moving to this NERIS platform. Okay, and so action type. If you choose no action, then you have to give a reason why, but choose an action if you did something at the scene. And then you'll have to fill in more info. So canceled, stage standby, or no incident found. And then action, you have your choices again of all sorts of different lovely things to do, including investigation and whatnot. And yet we can do up to 3.
And it's important that the fire departments take some time and look through all these because there's a lot of selections that weren't previously available. One of them popped up right here, but provide drone and video equipment. That's obviously brand new. So the more you put into it, the more we get out of it.
Now, aid given received, which is right under actions, that is not highlighted because I'm still trying to find a way if I should flag that or not. So you just have to pay attention to the left-hand side. And I put a little note up at the top here. If you had no mutual aid, make no choice in the box below. No choice means no aid given or received, because that is how the NERIS database was set up. But if you did give or receive aid, you can click in that gray box and the choices will come down. And then you can pick your departments. Right now, they're showing the old NFIRS code next to them. And I have a question from my image trend rep tomorrow as to when the NERIS ID numbers will show up next to your supporting fire departments.
And I'm just going through it to see if I can add multiple. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we always need social services.
Then authorization, of course, the member making a report, an officer in charge, and my demo agency, I had loaded Star Trek references and Star Wars and whatnot, Avengers. So it's always fun when I practice. And then the narrative, you've got the primary narrative that you have to put something in, and then you have, impediment, obstacles narrative if you want to.
Clearly, it doesn't have spell check.
What if you are unable to respond? Bill, I will research that. I know it's in there somewhere. Okay, unable to respond. Provide guidance. I know there's a reference in there. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. So unit response on the left-hand side, that's the next thing that's in red, and that is actually where you're going to be documenting your apparatus and your personnel until the apparatus power tool shows up. And I'm hoping that'll be easy to use.
All right, where are we going next, Michelle?
Unit response. Yep, and so this is what you're going to use instead of the apparatus power tool, and I'll have to figure out what changes I have to make once the power tool shows up, but it's basically the call sign, the apparatus ID, and then you add your personnel. And you can add another right next to the OK button. You can add another person to that unit right there without having to pop out and pop back in.
So this is the part that I would find pretty frustrating as a fire chief who's had a apparatus power tools button all along. So bear with us. This is not our fault. It is in development from Image Trend.
Yeah.
Under personnel, you used to be able to see a list of all the people on your department and just hit all of them at the same time. Now we have to do it one at a time.
I'm not sure if the chief could pick one and then hit control and get all of them, or if they're one at a time. They may be one at a time because you have to fill out the pay rate description if you want to, and the personnel role and that type of thing. I'm just talking off the top of my head.
So, Chief, I think the answer to the question is that in the apparatus power tool, that function was available, where you could select the apparatus and then select multiple people to it. The apparatus power tool has not been developed for NERIS at this point, and that is what's coming in February. So right at this moment in time, unfortunately, it's going to have to be entry one at a time. And it pains me to deliver that message.
It pains me as the data entry person too.
Okay, so we can go over to fire, which is highlighted in red because we said that there was a fire. So where did fire primarily occur? This first little question is going to be the pivot point. If you say structure, it's going to give you the structure section underneath. If you hit outside, it's going to give you the outside fire version, sort of like the little pivot point that was in the NFIRS fire report. And then where your water supply came from, you got some choices. And did you use aqueous film forming foam? And fire investigation. Chief, did you want to talk a little bit about this field?
Sure. Basically, we have a statutory obligation as fire chiefs across the state to investigate fires. So if there's a fire, you need to investigate it. So is an investigation needed on every fire? That's up to you guys to decide, but the standard default answer should be yes. And then how was it investigated? If you called our office, just hit consulted with state fire marshal, and if we determine not to come out, just log it there. If you called us and turf the investigation to us, which is perfectly fine, and we'd encourage you to do so, just hit investigated by state fire marshal and you're done. Or you may have investigators in-house, and if you've investigated that fire yourself, you just select investigated by fire personnel. If for some reason you did not investigate that fire, that's perfectly fine. That's your decision as the fire chief. But again, it's a statutory obligation for you to investigate fires. Just type in here why. Why not? Um, uh, any reason, why not? So I'm just going to hit because I didn't feel like it.
And Ben Wallace, I'm going to investigate the hydrant. He asked, is hydrant greater than 500 mean distance or flow? And I'd have to do some research to see what the feds had for their justification for that. I'll put find out.
And under fire investigation needed, there may be reasons why it's not applicable. So. I think we can keep moving.
Okay. Alan, I'll mention your thing in the chat after we get down to the end of this, because that's basically a scheduling thing. So the first question is not required by NERIS, but feel free to mark something if you want. What was the situation when you arrived on scene? Different types of amounts of smoke or fire showing. Fire of origin. Luckily, they've not asked for the detail that we used to have to do in NFIRS because it seemed like it really wasn't helpful. What was the level of fire damage and the structure fire cause? Okay. There seems to be something still in red. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with that.
We'll check it. We'll check it after the fact.
Yeah. Casualty rescue. And was it a firefighter, non-firefighter? Level of injury. And you can fill out the other stuff if you want. Risk reduction. This is a new section that NERIS has put into place. And they want to know, well, some of this stuff is left over from NFIRS. I guess they just renamed it now that I think of it. It's emerging hazards that I'm looking at. That's a new thing. But it's basically this section is smoke alarms, fire alarms, sprinklers. Did things work? Did they alert people?
So as you select these continue to expand to extrapolate more information for NERIS. Fire suppression system. And I know this is a lot of information. The State Fire Marshal's Office, again, we didn't build any of this with the exception of making a few changes here and there. This is the requirements of NERIS. It's cumbersome. It's a lot. And I think the goal at the end of the day is to capture data. And from the perspective of our office, where we collect data, analyze data, and make it available for legislative items and for you folks across the fire service, this will kind of be a pretty big game changer for us. This will have a lot of information, and we'll be able to look across the state at different hazards and what's going on. Is smoke detectors an issue? Are sprinklers an issue? And then, of course, this next tab, which I'll pause, Michelle, keep going.
Well, I think we're pretty much at the end, except for figuring out what that red part is in fire. And we can go down to the validation score at some point. But if you want to talk about emerging hazards, that's a new aspect of NERIS. They're trying to capture data on electrical hazards and power generation stuff.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important for fire departments across the state that if we run into any emerging hazard, specifically electrical hazards or power generation hardware, there's a bunch of stuff in here in regard to, solar panels. Well, this was a water heating panel, and it's just incredible the amount of information that's in here. I haven't taken the time to really go through each individual step, but or selection, I should say. But there are a ton of areas to identify electric vehicles, hybrids, battery banks, energy storage systems, consumer products, all kinds of stuff here. All right.
So it's, I think it's hidden by a visibility rule.
Yeah, there we go. I cleared it.
Yay. So that's it in a nutshell. The values that I set up at the beginning of the incident section, what is it, the pre-something values. I've preloaded certain things, preset values. Certain things get pre-filled in, but you still have to go through and you have to clear the red and whatnot. So, Chief Alan Leo asks, where this goes live on January 1st and your office will be closed for the holiday until January 5th. If we have technical issues with this system, what help is available, especially when the busier services could have many reports each day backed up for 4 days?
I would say send Michelle and I an email, and one of us will respond to it. We also have a ticket system through Main EMS, and the same way you would submit a ticket to them, we follow that same process. Because anything that relates to anything structural or problems with image trend, we're going to submit a ticket on your behalf to image trend as well. So there's really there's three processes or three options: contact image trend and put a ticket in, contact Main EMS and put a ticket in, or send an email to Michelle and I. And I promise you that come January 1st, when the switch is flipped, we're going to be paying attention to what's going on here. The biggest thing is after today, we wanted to give you visibility in the form so that you can start to poke around, start to look at it. If you enter any NERIS reports, just remember, we're going to come in probably on the 7th and delete everything from the 1st backwards so they don't get uploaded into NERIS. And the other thing that I believe Michelle mentioned in the beginning is you're not going to, if you have a NERIS portal and you do reports on the 1st, you're not going to see those reports automatically go into NERIS on the 1st. It's going to take us probably about 7 to 10 days to ensure that the API in the background is working before we actually push these to NERIS. So just don't think there's a problem if you log into your NERIS portal and don't see your incidents reporting on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It's going to take us about a week to just make sure that everything's working in the background before we start the API.
Okay, there's Paul has asked, is there still the ability to be able to report that you are answering a call to assist EMS? I can try to make a +1 code if you feel that you need that. I've held off on doing a lot of the older +1 codes, replicating them in this new system, because it seemed like the new database was actually taking care of some of the issues. But if you want to have a +1 code for assisting EMS, I can try to create that. Let's see. Do departments using First Due still need to onboard in NERIS? Yes, everybody needs to onboard in NERIS, because your NERIS account is the socket where your data is going to flow into, no matter which records management system you're using. And
That's exactly what I thought. And I just had one department ask me that question of the list that you sent me. So absolutely, I will have them all do that.
okay, great. And then are we losing our supplemental questions? I know that I had to create supplemental questions from scratch for NERIS. So I believe that is the case for everybody, that you'll have to recreate your supplemental questions for NERIS, because that's what I had to do. And I want to let people know that the worksheets on the right-hand side, I've put some basic worksheets, attached them to the report that you can use. However, I have a couple of fire departments that have their own custom worksheets, and they had them in place for the NFIRS system. And I'm happy to add their custom worksheets to this form. And what I will do is what I did before for the old report, is make a visibility rule. So they will hide from all departments except their own. And that's a good way to cut down on visual clutter going on. Okay, so Jay wants to assist EMS +1 code. I will look into that. Paul, do you put an EMS report in the same as we have been doing? And someone responded, and I agree, yes, add assist EMS.
Yes, EMS reports will be the same as you have been doing, and we have confirmed with Image Trend that associating fire incidents from EMS reports will still be available. So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure happened. And Michelle, I did go through this list real quick, and I did not see assist EMS, so we will need to add that.
Okay, under what section?
It'll probably either go under public service or medical.
Okay.
But we can take a look at it in the background and make sure it's there in the appropriate fields.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay. So I don't see any more. Someone said we would like to have that, meaning assist EMS option. As a very small rural department, a lot of our calls are mutual aid and they are medical. So I have definitely written that down to research and add that.
Definitely. We will get it. And it very well could be already in here. It's just we're not digging deep enough. So we will make sure that is an absolute option for our fire departments, because we know that there's a lot of those calls out here.
And I just ask for people to bear with us as the months roll on, because this is a very different situation than when NERIS was put into place more than that. When I was here the first time, we had a stable national database that had been around for decades. And so the NERIS system was built off this stable national database. Now we're having this new national database being built in sections. And so the feds make changes or additions, then Image Trend has to try to replicate that or accommodate that. And then depending on what I need to do, I have to make changes in order to accommodate. So there will be changes to the NERIS fire run form as I work on it, but I'm going to try and keep people appraised of mega changes that happen, like when the apparatus power tool is available and I can attach it correctly. I don't know what it's going to look like or what validation rules are going to happen. So I have to learn about it and then I have to attach it. So just drop me an email if you have questions or concerns. And I have weekly meetings with the Image Trend rep. So if I can't get you an answer right away, I will ask him. Let's see. Hi, Chief Boising from St. Francis. Will we be able to see reports from our departments that we share mutual aid with?
So the short answer is, Chief, is that you won't be able to see the reports in MEFRS. However, if you log on to your NFRS portal and the mutual aid departments have given you permission, I believe you will have some visibility in your NERIS portal of what is occurring in your mutual aid communities and across the state on a higher or 30,000 foot view. So as much as as many concerns as NERIS has put in front of us, we do believe that NERIS is going to obtain more data for us to make better decisions so that we can educate our legislatures and we can make strategic investments in fire service. We also think that we will see emerging hazards like solar panels and hybrid car fires. We think we will see that. And to your point about visibility with mutual aid departments, is you're going to be able to see your incidents on a map if you log into your NERIS portal and see hotspots in your community and see some of those emerging trends occurring across the state. So the reporting will be in real time rather than NFRS, which is a year or two behind at sometimes when the U.S. Fire Administration issues a report. So I hope it will be helpful, but without Maine actually reporting incidents into NERIS, we have limited visibility right now about what that might look like.
And somebody asked, will our current apparatus and personnel list automatically upload to the new system? Yes, it should, because with this demo agency, the apparatus and personnel that I had created 6-7 years ago is still, as you saw, working when we did the NERIS fire report. Dale, when we start entering in NERIS, you will start using the new NERIS form January 1st, and I'm going to send out an email reiterating these different dates and what's happening on these dates. I will send that out to everybody so everybody gets another round of knowing what's going on. George Gregory, you mentioned that we struggle at best to get mutual aid call incident numbers to enter. Is there a plan to make those incident numbers available to us without having to try calling the aid department?
Short answer is no.
I think in the past, I remember that question, and I had suggested at trainings that somebody zap an email to someone else at the other department and say, this is our incident number for that event, and kind of swapping information that way.
But we don't always have a clear contact email address, phone number, or person, and so we sit there hanging.
Yeah, Chief, I certainly feel your pain. And in the past, I've entered, 111 as the mutual aid department's incident number. While that's not right and that's not, appropriate data, we certainly understand where you're coming from.
That's exactly what I do right now. I make up numbers.
Yep. I obviously I'm not going to tell you to do that, but that's what we have to do sometimes to get the validation correct to submit the report. So I've been in your shoes one too many times, and there is no clear path to share incident numbers at this point in time.
Ben Wallace, I didn't see where in the new form, I didn't see where in the new form to put the mutual aid incident number. Is it actually required for NERIS? I'm thinking no, based on what I have seen in the worksheets, but I will double check. They've decided to drop some things.
I can jump back into my screen sharing and just see if I'm not seeing it on this screen. It would be under. It should be right here, Michelle, wouldn't it?
You would think so, yes.
Chief, we'll look into this a little bit more. I just don't want to mislead you. There's no clear path on identifying each other's incident number, but give Michelle an opportunity to look into it tomorrow. She'll send out an email blast that will include whether that field is required or not. And if there's something that we can do in the background, yeah, to make that field not required, it may be by NERIS, to be honest with you. We're certainly willing to take that up as a concern.
Okay, Jared Blackman, when adding personnel to an incident, is there a category for if they respond in their personal operating vehicle? Jared, I believe you create an apparatus that is a personal operating vehicle in your department, and then it will show up as an option for an apparatus. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes. Yep. So here in this demo field, we just wrote personal. In Albion, we created an apparatus that was POV. So that's how we were able to log that particular action.
And I believe I'm staring at the station button, and I have a memory stirring from when I was here the first time. Somebody wanted to have station as an apparatus because they were doing dispatch from the station for certain incidents. And so I told them that station could be an apparatus, and then you add your personnel if they're standing by at the station and doing stuff. So that was a memory I just pulled out from 7 years ago. So, but that is an option for people to be able to document personnel doing dispatch at the station or whatever they need to do.
I also added pedestrian PED because we are at the Freiburg Fair for for the whole week, and most of the calls that we make, we walk to the scene rather than drive a truck. So
that's a great point, Chief, and something I've actually never encountered. So that's a good point, and that, at the agency level, you can customize it to get the needs of your particular department. So.
Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. I hope that helps people.
Yeah, with that being said, I mean, we can certainly answer any direct questions. Michelle, can you just drop your email into the chat just so everybody that's participating here has it?
Yes.
We're here to help in any way that we can. We want to make this system better. Some of it is within our control, and some of it is not in our control. So we would encourage the chiefs to share feedback. If we get a bunch of feedback, we'll bring it to the fire marshals committee, sit down with the chiefs, and make changes as necessary. Jay, I'm seeing that your assistant chief needs a raise there, so I'd make sure he gets that.
are you going to share in an email the link to your recording here? Because I have several people who couldn't be on this, and I'd like them to sit through it.
Well, based on what we did with the last webinar, the chief can provide me with the information on how to upload the video. I'm going to add the video to our YouTube channel, and then I will send the link for the YouTube channel to people. So it's going to take me a little bit because I've only done it once. So I'll have to consult my notes, but I will get it to everybody. It may take me a day or two to wrestle with it. So
we'll get you the link for the YouTube video, and I know some of you chiefs out there that are watching. I am trying to be a YouTube star. I'd like you to like and subscribe, and hopefully I can monetize it and make all kinds of money. I'm kidding.
About the money, not about being the star.
Right, exactly. So anyway, Chiefs, really appreciate your time tonight, and thank you guys are wonderful. Looking at the chats there. No OnlyFans for me. So thank you guys very much, and appreciate you taking your time out this evening to attend. We will do our absolute best to answer some questions. Michelle will follow up with an email tomorrow, and if the email tomorrow does not contain the link, then we certainly will send the link to this video in the next couple days. If I don't see anybody in between now and Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody.